Hello, my name is Selenit and I'm an inner truth teacher and coach. Today I want to talk to you about a topic that is an issue for a lot of women. It used to be a big issue for me in the past. And what I'm talking about is saying that something is fine when it's actually not. For a long time, I tried to force myself to say that something was fine when it wasn't. So someone would, for example, say they were going to call me and they didn't. I would say, oh, it's fine, something must have come up. Or they canceled on me last minute. I said, oh, it's fine, we can reschedule. And it was still very uncomfortable, but it was confusing because a lot of spiritual teachings talk about acceptance. What they don't explain is what acceptance really means. And after many years, really, I finally understood that saying it's fine always left me with this uncomfortable feeling of disappointment because deep down it wasn't fine. I knew it, my body knew it. And it didn't mean that I was in a dangerous situation or that something catastrophic happened, but simply some behaviors were showing me a lack of respect and consideration and care in my relationships. If someone says they're going to do something and they don't do it, that means something. If someone takes your time, energy, and presence for granted, that's not fine. For many years, I confused acceptance with silence. And now I see it very differently. Acceptance means seeing reality clearly. It means acknowledging that someone did something wrong, even if they didn't mean to. Someone stepped over a boundary. It doesn't mean they are bad people. Very often they just don't know better. But it doesn't mean that you have to tolerate that behavior. If someone's actions violate your boundaries, it needs to be addressed. Real peace comes when you start speaking your truth. When I started saying, hey, I didn't like that, or you said you were going to do this and you didn't. When I started showing people that I was noticing what they were doing, it made a big difference. And depending on the situation, sometimes you will have to remove access to you, you will have to leave, not from a place of anger, but from a place of self-respect. So finally, I stopped saying, it's not a big deal, when someone took me for granted. And that started sending a message to myself. The message was, my time matters, my energy matters, my presence is valuable. And that made a huge difference in my confidence. Recently, I even had a conversation with my own mother. I told her, hey mom, I'm usually the one who calls you. Last time I called and no one answered. You didn't call back, but after a month. And she said, well, we have so much to do. We do have you in mind. You should insist more. And I didn't like that answer. She was taking me for granted. So I said to her, no, I'm not going to chase you. I'm not going to chase anyone. A relationship is a two-way street. And there was something very powerful about this moment. Because I realized that my relationship with myself has to come before every other relationship, even with my own mother. So I stopped abandoning myself to keep relationships. A lot of people abandon themselves to keep their partners, to keep the peace with family members. Now take note, because I'll give you 3 practical phrases to say instead of trying to convince yourself that things are just fine and that they're not a big deal. But before that, something very important needs to be said. If someone already misbehaved, don't look for ways to soften your communication, which is a mistake I often made. Don't be aggressive either, and don't start a fight, but also don't speak as if you're the one who did something wrong. A lot of people try to sound overly nice when setting boundaries, as if they were trying to compensate for the inconvenience. That doesn't work. People won't listen to you most of the time. So these people sometimes say something like, here's a kind reminder, or would you please stop doing that? But honestly, if someone is already disrespecting you, even if it's the first time, or if they are taking you for granted, it's not noble to focus on softening words. There has to be clarity. The boundary needs to be clear. And again, I'm not talking about attacking people, I'm talking about communicating directly. So here are 3 phrases that have done a lot for me. Number 1 is, here's a reminder. For example, here's a reminder to cancel when you cannot make it, as it affects the experience to everyone. I've used this phrase when people would sign up for some of my events and they didn't show up. So it's not too friendly, it's clear, and it's not aggressive. And people also respond very well to it. The second phrase is, our agreement was. I use this phrase when someone is late. For example, I would say, our agreement was to meet at 6. If you cannot make it on time, I need to know in advance. It's direct, but it's not aggressive, and it is dignifying for yourself. The third phrase is simply, I don't like that. Such a simple phrase, but incredibly powerful. For example, someone once told me, I have a surprise for you. I'll tell you what it is in 2 weeks. And honestly, I didn't like that energy because I felt a kind of controlling energy in that communication. So I said to them, I don't like it when you tell me that you have a surprise, but don't tell me what it is. Just tell me now, there's no need for suspense. Self-respect is not loud. It doesn't have to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be direct and simple. I hope what you heard today will be useful to you in your relationships. Try it. It works. Let me know what happened if you used one of these phrases. And remember that your self-love and your self-respect comes before that towards anyone else.